So, how do you make your first button work in Android Studio? First thing to do is to go and find the location we want to put the button. So I've clicked on here, and the idea here is I'm going to place a button in this area. There's a zoom tool to zoom in and out. Zooming out just now. And when I zoom out, you can see I've got the blueprint on the right and the main screen on the left. I'll delete what's already there, we don't require that. And then I'll look for buttons on the left. There's buttons there. Drag one over, drop it in somewhere. Once you've done that, wait a few seconds because Android Studio is not that fast, and then attach it using the blueprint to the sides of your actual activity itself. So I'm doing the sides and the top there. You can change the distance up here. So for example, I'll change that to 24 there. That pushes it further away. This button itself, it's got some properties. The first thing it has is an ID. Over there it says ID. Now I like the word button in front. It's a good way of naming things, so later on you remember it as a button, so don't forget to keep that there. But in this case I want to give it a proper name, and I'm going to have a button here called login, so I'll call it button login, just like that there. And the idea is when someone clicks this button, it will eventually log into some sort of app, but at the moment it's not going to do that yet. Down here where it says text is another property. I'm going to click on there, and sometimes I find this happens when I click there. Initially nothing seems to do anything, it just kind of hangs about. So what I'll do is I'll attempt to switch back to the piece that says Java, and look, it doesn't switch over there either. Now this does happen a few times. It doesn't happen every machine I go to, but it tends to happen to me. So I'll click back on the button activity again, back to the screen. And down there it says text. I'll change that to login. When I press enter there, you can see it says login there. So now I have the text view. It says the property says text there. The button's called button login. I want to add that into the code now. So click where the code is. It's a file that ends in Java. This is the code itself. You've not really seen much of this before. If I click there, it expands that to see these lines here. A lot of this stuff is automatically generated as well, so there's no worry about that. It just kind of pops in as you create things. I'm going to press enter here because I like the open curly bracket to be here. So I'll call this start class because just above it is this thing called class. And down here, you see it lines up and also it highlights together. That'll be end class. There's another one over here, and then again another comment, start. In this case it's going to be start on create. And then down here, the one that matches up with it is end on create. And then within that, you can see there's two lines of code, and these lines of code basically make that activity, which contains the button, to appear on the screen first. In order to code it, you have to put code in here, and you have to declare the fact the button exists, and this is where you're linking the button, which is just over here on the activity, with the code itself. So I'll put the word button on its own. When I put the word button with a capital B, these things pop up. Select that option there, and as I selected that option, you'll find this line appears in codes. It's basically saying you're allowed to use buttons now. I then have to name my button, so this will be button login with a capital L, just like I named it in the previous screen, equals brackets button, close brackets, find, and it's find view by ID, r.id. And then look through the list here, it says button login, and then press out end and semicolon. Now, what I've done here is I've created a link between the button, which is here on the screen in the activity, that one there. I've linked it to the code, and I've used exactly the same name to link it to the code. Never change the names. If you change the names from one button name to another button name, it makes it really confusing. So just keep those the same. The next thing to do is to link in the button itself, so when you actually click on it, it does something. Right now in the application itself, if I for example was to run this and click the button, nothing would happen, so I have to tie in this clicking idea. Now clicking is an event, so when something happens that's an event, and when you click a button that's also an event. So I have to use the button name. That's the first thing I have to do. When I type button initially, it pops up now because I've already assigned it up here. So double click there, it comes up, and then it's a dot, and then start typing set, and then wait a few seconds and look to these other things on the list. One says set on click listener, select that, then it's new, capital V for view, and in this list here it says on click listener again. Just double click there. Now what's happened is automatically put the code in for you to actually create the framework for the button. Again, we've got more of these open curly brackets, I like to call them, and I'll put in another comment. That'll be called start button login, and then down there that'll be end button login, and up here is where the click actually happens, so start on click, and then down there end on click. And the actual code that gets activated or run is within this area here. So where the flashing cursor is, it's where the code will actually do something. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a simple toast message. So start typing toast with capital T. And in here is a list of two things. Select the bottom one that says create a new toast, double click it, insert code again for you, and at this point here where the double quotes are, it's where you actually send a message. So I'll just say the login button was clicked. And that's the message that will appear when someone clicks the button. Right, all I have to do now is make sure we've saved this. There's a save button up there. And then after that, you have to plug in your Android device and then press this button up here that says run. And after so many minutes, it will appear on the Android device. You can actually test it out.